Hello everyone and welcome to Getting Started with Lumio. This is probably my favorite webinar that I do because I love starting from the ground and remembering all the things, all the basic getting started things that we love about Lumio. So why don't we kick things off with a quick intro. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mish and I am a learning and community designer here at Lumio. And previous to being here, I was a kindergarten first grade teacher in Chicago. And then when I was leaving the classroom, I ran super far away and came all the way to Arizona because I needed the sunshine. And in that time, I also worked on my master's in curriculum and instruction and teacher leadership. One little thing I'll share with you is if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on my Instagram, teachwithmish3. And the reason I always like to share that is in our very short time together during these Getting Started webinars, I can only tell you not even a full 1/10 of all the different things that you can do in Lumio that I absolutely love. So if you follow along on that Teach with Misha Instagram, the only thing I share there is tips and tricks. So if you follow along, you will get some more ideas past what I can show you during our time here together today. So with that, what I'm going to have you all do before you kind of look at the instructions on the screen, I want you to pause really quick. And I'd like for you to think about yourself as a learner. If you are watching the recording of this, just stay watching. You won't be able to kind of connect live time, but if you are with me right now live time, here is what you can do, but think about yourself as a learner. If you've got two monitors, if you kind of like that multitasking, go ahead and open up another tab and you'll follow the instructions on the screen, or there's a direct link for you in the chat and on the screen there. And if you feel like, hey, you know what, it's easier for me to just kind of sit back and observe, that is totally okay with me. So feel free to kind of think about yourself as a learner, pick either of those two options. And if you're watching the recording, remember that you can just stay watching the recording and you'll be able to follow along there. So one more moment here. All you'll need to do is either use the direct link that's in the chat or on the screen, or you can just go to a browser yourself, type in lumioclass.com, click on join as a guest, and then you'll put in the class ID, which is 181461. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move forward here just to keep us on track with time. And I always like to start with a little word cloud. And I want everyone to think about what is one word that comes to mind when you think about technology in the classroom. So if you're logged in, feel free to share that right in your Lumio screen. You should see a submission box. Or if you are just kind of sitting back and joining the call, you can feel free to also put that in the chat in our call. What is one word that comes to mind when you think about technology in the classroom? There are so many words. I love doing this word cloud because sometimes I'll see words like helpful or exciting, but sometimes I'll also see words like exhausting or overwhelming. And that feeds right into the one thing that I love most about Lumio. So, oh, someone said fun. I love that. A moment ago, I said very often when I ask this question, one of the words that I'll get is overwhelming. And one thing that we think about a lot with edtech in the classroom is lots of teachers experience edtech overload. There are so many amazing companies, softwares, resources available to us as educators online. But when you think about yourself in the classroom, think about you standing in front of your kiddos and whether you've got a smart board, an interactive display, a projector in front of your students. Think about all the different tabs you're navigating through, whether that's your slides, maybe a different website, maybe Kahoot, maybe you're going to YouTube, all those different things. And that's like you standing up there, clicking through all those tabs. The second you turn your back, you lose your students, right? Or if you've got younger students and maybe need some assistance, you're running around getting them from one website to another website. And now you've lost really precious teaching time because even though that day sometimes feels so long, sometimes it's also not long enough with all the things we want to get done in a teaching day. So that's why I love Lumio. All of those things that we already love can exist together in one space. And you also don't have to start over. You can import everything you've already got, like a notebook file, PowerPoint, PDF, Google Slides, something you made in Canva. You bring it right into Lumio. And all you have to do there is now make it nice and interactive. You can convert any page into a workspace, like a handout, a group workspace, a whole class collaborative whiteboard. You can bring in your YouTube videos and those come in ad-free. And my favorite is the game-based activities, which now give you so many opportunities to also collect data on your students to see how they're doing. Got a quick little check for understanding. Low stakes for them, but highly informative for us. So here's kind of what the next few moments are going to look like. I'm going to have us think about a little bit more about why Lumio, I'm going to think about all the different activities that you can do. You guys are logged in right now as students. I'm going to give you a little example of what it's like to be a student in Lumio so you get a clear understanding of what they feel like. And then I always like to have you guys try something out. So we're going to come out of student mode, go into teacher mode, build a really quick activity together, and then we'll be on our way. So why Lumio? So we have all those things that we use, right? We think about, as we're lesson planning, all the different websites or resources we might use with our students because they really touch on different parts of our lesson. So where does Lumio fit into this? We're taking the things that we're already doing. We have all this great information that we want to pass down to our students, but we want to take it in and we want to make it engaging for them. We want to create really great learning experiences for our students. And then we use Lumio to amplify our existing teaching practices and then really enhance the materials we already have so it creates a really great learning environment for all of our students. All the things that we do, right? Like a moment ago, I said, hey, we might bring in Kahoot, we might bring in YouTube, we might have Google Slides. As educators, we're lesson planning and we're thinking about the 4 effective parts of our lesson. We engage our students in a new learning concept. Then we help them to explore it, maybe by using some digital manipulatives, for example. Then we help them to elaborate on this new concept and maybe they're going to do some group work. They're going to participate in some kind of collaborative workspace. And then we always want to add in evaluating our students to see if maybe they need some more support. Maybe we need to rethink the way that we're phrasing things or if we're good to go to move on. So this here is kind of a little visual menu that I've put together of no matter what part of your lesson you're planning, there is something that exists in Lumio to kind of keep you in that one tab, which prevents you from needing to move away to different areas so that you can use as much time teaching and learning as possible. With that, let's jump into a student example. So I thought for this, let's do want versus need because no matter what grade you teach, no matter where you are, this is something that we all think about. So that's going to bring me into my next point really quick. As I'm showing you this quick student example, I want you to think about yourself, no matter what grade or subject you teach, no matter where in the world you are, think about the activity I'm showing you, the type of activity versus what we're actually working on. And think about how you can start to think about adapting that for your students and what you are working on. So for here, I got want versus need. It's just a 2-column chart here. And what I'm going to actually do is if you take a look at my teacher screen, I'm going to pop over to my 2 little people in the top left corner. From here, I've got some different options, an individual handout, a group workspace, and a whole class whiteboard. I'm going to go ahead and click on this and convert it into a whole class whiteboard. So now on your side, on the student screen, you should see a couple of different options. And I love doing a whole class whiteboard for a few different reasons. I think about when I was teaching, sometimes you'll have a student that maybe is just feeling shy and participating in a verbal discussion maybe doesn't fit all of my students, or maybe they've got an IEP, maybe they're learning English, maybe they're trying to look cool in front of their friends. Maybe I'm also thinking about how to make my lesson as aligned to UDL as possible. So I want to give them multiple means of expression. So maybe not all students want to raise their hand. Maybe for some, they'd like to draw a picture. Maybe for some, they'd like to come in here and they'd like to bring in an image. They'd like to react to someone with a sticker. Maybe some would like to type. Or I'm also thinking about some of my students that maybe typing is a difficulty. They also have the ability to record themselves. So I'm going to give everyone just a moment here. Take a moment to interact with that on your student side, and then I'll show you what I can do on my teacher side. All right, so if you guys quickly bounce over back to my side here, to the teacher side, I have someone that submitted a response, and maybe that was a really neat response. And as a teacher, I want to take accountability and I want to see who that was, maybe see if they'd like to elaborate on their thinking. Anytime someone contributes, what I can do is always click on it. And then I can see that that was added by Samantha. So anytime they make any contribution in a whole class whiteboard, I can still check in. And then maybe we're in the middle of this lesson. Maybe I've got 35 kiddos in my classroom and they're busy, they're working, but really quick, I'd like the attention back on me. Something that I can do also is you'll notice in my top right corner, I've got a toggle that says everyone can edit. I'm gonna go ahead and toggle that off. And you'll notice there that now on your side, you can look, but you can't touch. And then just as easily, I can turn that back on. Looks like I've got another contribution here. We want fun text or image options. So things that we want, things that we need. And this was a different entry point for my students to be able to document their thinking. And also what's really nice is if you're a parent, maybe you've experienced this before, but who's ever picked up their kids from school and you say, hey, what'd you learn today? And they say, I don't know. So how about that? I see my friend Tisha backstage nodding her head like, yep, definitely have seen that happen before. This is a really great way for all of our work to be saved. So I'll show you when we're done here that everything that we're going to do inside this file is going to save for me as a teacher. I can go back to review it myself, or tomorrow, let's say you guys are my students and you were coming back to learn with me, I can pull this back up and say, hey, you know what? Here's all these really great conversations that we were having that we can reference back. Tisha in the comments is saying evidence of learning for all. We really, really want to make sure that we're giving every student the opportunity to participate, to engage, and really think that one size absolutely does not fit all. We have to give them multiple ways to engage with us. All right, so we're going to imagine, fast forward here a little bit. We've had this lesson. We talked about things that we want. We've talked about things that we need. And now I want for students to really practice on their own. And I'm going to do a little stop and check for understanding. Now, this is a game called Super Sort. If you come over to my teacher's screen here, I always have the ability to model my activities. So this is going to look like what it does on your screen in just a moment. But all you need to do is you'll notice that if you get the incorrect answer, it'll give you another chance. It'll come back. And if you get the correct answer, it'll go ahead and move away. You'll notice I have a mix here of images and text. So go ahead and take a moment to interact with that on your screen, and then I'll show you what I capture as the teacher on my side. So go ahead, take about 10 seconds, interact with those really quick. Beautiful. And as you were interacting, we had another really great comment in the chat from Tisha. Modeling activity is a really great way to accommodate for students who need to hear and see before they do. That is really important. Something that you can also do that I didn't do with this activity is I could have also recorded myself giving instructions that you could have listened to at the top of your page here. So if you do have the students who do need the instructions multiple times and you yourself need to move on and do something different, they still have the ability to listen to you repeat those instructions. So if you're navigating with one screen here, come on back to our call here and I'll show you that now what I can capture as your teacher. I'm going to go to view progress. I can see that 4 of you are done. I've got 1 of you in progress. I can toggle on show results and I can see my 5 most frequent correct and incorrect answers. I can see what the average score is and the average time spent. Now, quick bird's eye view, like I'm with my students and I really would like to kind of gauge with this check for understanding. Can I move on to the next page or do I need to stop here? Now, I'm wondering, it looks like maybe there's a couple students that are struggling. Let me figure out who those are. Now, this is something that I would do during my prep or make sure I would do in private. All right. From here, again, this is something that I would want to do from my computer in private where my students couldn't see. But just in case I ever forget, it is always going to warn me, hey, you're about to show student names and scores. Are you sure you'd like to continue? So I'm going to go ahead and click show, and then I can see how my students are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Samantha here. And from here, I can see that, hey, Samantha's doing a really great job. I can see exactly how much time Samantha spent compared to the class average and the score. But let's just say maybe, hey, Samantha wasn't really capturing what was going on. Maybe she had a hard time understanding the concept. And maybe Samantha got some incorrect answers. What's really nice about doing a super sort is you'll notice on your screen if you finished, you had the ability to reset, which is really, really great because repetition is such a powerful tool. Now from here, if Samantha did get the incorrect answers, I would have that itemized. It would show me exactly which ones were incorrect. And you'll notice on the top, it does still tell me students' responses on the first attempt. So I'm able to get that authentic data. And then when I drop, the nice thing is also in my top right corner here, I'll have a button that says export results. This will generate a really clean Excel sheet for me with all my student names, scores, and the questions itemized. So later on, when I'm doing my lesson planning, or if I've got an IEP meeting coming up, parent-teacher conferences, or I need to quickly enter some grades into the grade book, I can quickly grab and go right from here. All right, so a moment ago, we did a really quick super sort. I had you guys take a look at some pictures or words of things we might want, things we might need. And all you needed to do was sort those. I love showing a super sort because I genuinely believe no matter what grade or what subject you teach, all of us could do a sorting game. Over the summer, I was in a high school and I had a psych teacher that did character traits of introverts versus extroverts. I had a middle school teacher that was kind of sorting between figurative and literal language. For my elementary teachers, maybe you're sorting even and odd numbers, warm and cool colors. For my art teachers, there's so many different ideas. So take a quick moment, skim through those, see if there's something that's relevant for you. And we're going to take some time to build together. I'm going to leave you just a moment here. Now, I'm going to pause and remind you, what's important to me is that you think about yourself as a learner. If you feel like, hey, I really like to tap and do as you do, in a moment, I'll give you directions of how you're going to interact with me. Or if you're the kind of learner that you just need to sit back and watch, and then when you receive the recording of this call, you'll be able to practice then, that totally works for me as well. So what I'm going to actually do really quick is I'm going to end my session. And so now it'll tell you that you can leave my class on your screen. And what you're going to do if you'd like to practice with me is you are going to go to golumio.com. Once you are on golumio.com, go ahead. If you have never made an account before, you can go ahead and quickly create yourself a free account. Or if you have, just sign in with us. Go to golumio.com. And then once you're signed in, I'm going to say like top 2 inches of your screen should look like mine. The bottom half won't because I use Lumio all day long. So I've got some files already created. But if the at least very top of your screen looks like mine, you are in a good place. And just to kind of break down for you what the next little bit of time here is going to look like before we end our time together today is we are going to build a super sort together. I'm going to give you a quick little tour of all the other things I want you to take a look at when you start exploring Lumio on your own. I'm going to show you a couple more resources and then we'll be on our way. All right, here we go. So here's what I want to do. At the top of your screen, you'll notice that right now you are in the tab that says My Library. That is like your own Google Drive, if you will. This is your creation space. Anything that you ever create is always going to live right here in My Library. Now, what I'm going to do is come on over to the left side of my screen and I'm going to find the button that says New. If I click New, I like to just jump right in, y'all. We're going to just build something together. This is your menu of all of the different things that you can build on your own in Lumio. But one thing I always like to show you, please don't do this right now, I'm just going to show you, but I want to make sure that you're staying with, is right here is this Import Resource button. If you walk away remembering one thing that I said is that you do not have to start over. You can import anything that you already have, whether that's your Google Slides, your PowerPoint, your PDF worksheets, an old notebook file. You're going to click import and you're going to import those right here and they're going to come right into Lumio and then use these things as more of those like, hey, every 3 pages of a Google slide, let's bring in one interactive element. All right, let's go. So right in the middle here, all the way to the right, you've got a tile that says game-based activities. If you haven't noticed yet, each of these tiles here, by the way, they have a little play icon. What those are, if you put your mouse over it, those are going to give you, if you click, they're going to give you a quick little YouTube video or a GIF that shows you what that tile does, what kind of a game it is, what kind of an activity is, just to give you a visual idea of what you're going to have the option to do. Let's go ahead and click on game-based activities. And you'll notice here that you have 12 different games. Now, remember when you guys were logged in as students, I showed you that I had that teacher dashboard where I was able to see how you all were doing. 3 of these 12 games give you that very clear dashboard. If you're a note taker, this is what you're going to write down. The 3 games that give you that teacher dashboard are Match 'em Up, Rank Order, and Super Sort. Also, if you are one of my fellow Kahoot lovers, Monster Quiz and Team Quiz are our version of Kahoot. Really fun for our kiddos to play those interactive games and kind of compete against each other as they get ready for a formative assessment. Those also, they don't give you the teacher dashboard, but when a monster quiz is completed, it does give you the ability to export those results into an Excel sheet as well. So really, really good as we're getting ready for testing season coming up. All right, here's what I would like for everyone to do. Go ahead and click on the button that says Super Sort if you are interacting with me here. Click on Super Sort. And then let's think of a Super Sort game that we can build. So I showed you a want versus need. Right now, I'm going to do verbs, if I can spell, and nouns. So some verbs, I can talk, walk, learn, play, and what I would love to do is rest. And then some nouns. Let's do desk, phone, pencil, and computer. You'll notice that I'm typing, but you'll also see at the end of each of these line items, there is a little image icon. So what I could do is click on that and I can either search for something, like if I wanted to search for a pencil, I can bring in an image this way. That's going to be a safe search from Pixabay for you, or you can also upload an image from your computer. Now, all you'll need to do from here is click next. And you'll notice that there's quite a few different backgrounds here for you. Some of them are fun and interactive, like the rock concert. They jam out when you get the right answer. There's also a ton of just simple ones. There's just like a black and gray one. There's purple, orange, or there's a custom. I like using the custom. Let's just say I was teaching a science lesson on ecosystems. Maybe I'd like to bring in an image of an ecosystem in the background. Or as I think about all of my learners, I have one specific student I always think about, and he was really motivated by everything being Toy Story themed. So everything I ever did, I'd upload some kind of background in there just to get him excited about his learning. I'm going to go ahead and use that Lumio Firefly theme for this game. Click Finish. Give it a second to load here. And now what I can do is click Preview, and I can see that game. So again, you'll notice if I get the right answer, it'll disappear. If I guess incorrectly, it'll come back. So fun little game here. A couple more things that I can do is I'm going to close my preview. And remember, I mentioned for my students, it's super important that we model our activities, but also for some students in their accommodations. Whew, it's the end of a Monday there. One thing that's really helpful is sometimes I need to hear the instructions multiple times. Or if we're assigning Lumio, which I'll show you in a few minutes, if you're assigning it for independent work or homework, maybe they need to hear those instructions. So in the top right corner, you'll notice a little person talking. And if you click on that, you can record yourself. So you might say, read each tile and sort it into the correct bucket. Remember, a verb is an action word and a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. And now when they access this page, they'll have that little recording of you reiterating those instructions and reminding them of what a noun and a verb is. I'm going to go ahead and just for myself, I'll do a noun and verb sort. I'm going to go ahead and rename this game. I'll name my file noun and verb sort. And now that I'm here, you'll notice that I have, it kind of looks like a slides presentation. I have this blue plus button. If I click on that, I'll have that same exact menu that I saw from my homepage to keep on adding to this file. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to just move on forward here, and I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Editing. I'm going to kind of fly through these next few things, but as you're starting to now deliver your lessons, so we practice participating as students in a lesson, we took a look at how to create or import in Lumio, so now we're at that delivery part. What do I do now that I'm done? So here is that lesson. You'll notice if I put my mouse over it, I have a couple of options. Something that I want you to think about in Lumio is, remember back in the day, I'm aging myself, we used to have a binder. We called it my master copy binder, and that's where you had all of your master clean worksheets and coloring pages, what have you. I want you to think about your My Library tab as that master copy binder. Everything in here is always going to stay clean. This is especially important for like my high school, middle school teachers. From here, what you're going to do is if you click Start New, I'm going to just do it so you guys can see, and just stay with me here in our call for now. It's going to load. And what's happening is it's creating a new session. So it's making me a copy of that file that I have in my library. And maybe I'm a high school teacher and I'll name this my period 1. Maybe they're my freshmen and we're doing unit 1, week 1. I don't know, lesson 2. We can be as specific as you need to be, and then you'll click OK, and your students will connect. Now, let's just say la-di-di, we delivered our session. I'm going to go ahead and end, and you'll notice that now Lumio has bounced me over. We started right here in the tab My Library, and then when I was done teaching that lesson, I was moved over to that Class Sessions tab. This is super, super, super important. So for my high school teachers, my middle school teachers, if you're teaching that same section, you'll always want to start from that My Library tab, and you'll have a clean copy for every period of students that comes in. Now, maybe tomorrow that same period 1 freshman comes in, or you're one of my homeroom teachers in the elementary and you have the same students and you'd like to keep teaching from that same lesson. Instead of starting a brand new clean copy, you're actually going to go to Class Sessions, and you'll notice that for this lesson, I've got some different options. I can either click on Review, maybe it's my prep period, and I'd like to see that data of how my students did as I'm thinking about, hey, what am I going to teach later today? How did they do yesterday? Now, they came back today. I'd like to keep teaching from that exact same file so that all the amazing work my students do continues to go into one place. I'll actually click Start Live here versus in my library, because now all the work will go into that existing file. Or one more option, if I'd like to then assign that work to my students as independent practice or homework, if I click on share assignment, this will generate an asynchronous link that I can share with my students as well. And then all the work, again, goes to one place. For you as a teacher, super organized. You don't have some worksheets there, Google Slides here. And what's really nice is all those notes that we would have taken together as a class, maybe later they're working on that independent work or homework, they can go back and review pages 1 and 2 and 3. Maybe there was some good notes that we took as a class together there. A few other things before we kind of head out for today is you'll notice right here is my class ID. If this is your first time using Lumio, take a look at where your 6 digits are. For some of you, it might be 5. That is your class ID. That is unique to you, not unique to the file. So you will always have one code. And what's really neat is your students, if they have Chromebooks or iPads, whatever they've got, it'll remember that class ID. So the first couple of times you'll help them get there, but the next time they come in, it's just going to say, hey, would you like to rejoin Miss G's class? And one piece of advice, if I can leave you with one more thing here, if I click on class ID, it's just kind of my little secret trick I always like to show you. You have a button right here. All I did from any page, you can be in my library or class sessions. If you click on class ID, it'll pop out this window. And in the middle, you have a tab that says guest access. I highly encourage for you, if you are a classroom teacher, to go ahead and toggle that off. And I'll tell you why. When you guys joined my lesson as students, you were able to name yourselves, okay? When your students join in, we don't want them to come in and name themselves Taylor Swift or something inappropriate because A, the students are all going to think it's so funny and your lesson will be derailed. Or you'll have a student that is, making really great progress, showing really good work, and perhaps they name themselves Taylor Swift and you'll never know who that work belongs to. So if you toggle that off, it's actually going to prompt your students to sign in using their school district account. Whether you're a Google or Microsoft school district, if you toggle that off, it's going to prompt them to sign in and it'll pull their name from their email. So you'll always know who that incredible work belongs to. That's just my little piece of advice. I always want to make sure that everyone knows that. All right, one more thing I'm going to show you in Lumio, then we're going to go over some resources, is right over here, you've got a tab that says Lumio Library. This is like a magic treasure chest. If you click on here, think of like Teachers Pay Teachers, but it's totally free and it's made by folks that are contracted to make really incredible files. So if you click on Lumio Library and you start to scroll, I would really recommend kind of looking through all the categories before you start searching. There are some really incredible files here for you. So you can see that there's studying skills, templates, primary math, secondary math, reading and writing, sight words, social studies, so many things. What's really cool is let's just say, hey, I happen to really like the Summer Around the World escape room. I'm going to click on it. And what's really neat is I actually do have the ability to go through the entire file. I can make sure that I like all the things in here. And let's see if I click here, if there's something that's interactive, I can interact with the page just to see. Oh, it looks like there I found one of the hidden words there, is I can actually interact with it. Now, the fun part is if I like it, I can click Save to my library. I don't have to sit here and wait for it to be done loading. And the other really fun part is the copy of this file fully becomes your own, which means you can edit this. These were created specifically where you can go in and edit the text, edit the backgrounds. If you maybe found something that has a cool template, but the information's not relevant, these are all made to be fully editable for you. All right. I think that is more than enough information for one day. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to our existing session, which is in class sessions. And here is where we were with our webinar today. And I'm going to click Start Live. And I'm going to scroll, and get to our resources. So if you haven't picked it up yet, I really, really want you to think about yourself as what kind of a learner you are. Whether you learn by clicking, by listening, watching videos, there are a billion different ways for you to keep learning with Lumio. And I'm going to start all the way on the right side here with the Academy. In the chat, Tisha's going to drop a quick couple links for you of everything that I'm going on the screen here. But the Academy is a really good place to go for you to take a course. You'll get a credit hour, you'll get a certificate and a badge. And you can really click through to learn about many different things. I will tell you, our Getting Started with Lumio course in April, I'm going to be redoing it, and it's going to be really, really cool because I'm going to make it where it's going to be simulated. So you'll be able to like click through and almost it'll look like you're using Lumio in real time to learn how to use it. But in that academy, you're going to find a Getting Started with Lumio course, Leveling Up with Lumio, Lumio Level 1 Educator and 2, Certified Trainer. There's so many fun courses in there. There's one on using AI in Lumio. Next button over there, we've got webinars. If you enjoyed today's webinar, we've got lots to go. If you go to that webinar page, on the top half of it, you'll see all of our upcoming webinars. We've got a few coming up this month with ambassadors that are going to be talking about assessments. In April, I'm going to be doing one on our new feature, Instant Start, which I'm going to show you one more quick thing before I forget about beta features. There's a couple other things. And on the bottom of that webinar page, also what you'll find is all of our previous webinar recordings. So if you're a math teacher, there's going to be a link there for some math ideas, science teachers. There's different webinars on all different types of content matters. And then our YouTube page is also going to show you a variety of 2 to 3 minute clips of how do I connect my students? How do I build a game? How do I check my student work? All of those are on there as well. Now I'm going to talk about the most exciting thing, and it's the one all the way here on the left, and that is our global community. If you are not yet an ambassador, please make sure that you are going to fill out that application that Tisha's going to drop for us in the chat right now. And the ambassador is the place to hang out. That is where we're going to go to announce any Lumio updates that are coming up. That's where you can go to connect with educators from all over the world that are using Lumio, capture some really cool ideas. If you ever go to any edtech conferences, we always host an ambassador meetup. We've got cool swag. But really what I want you to know about the ambassador platform is it's the place to go to stay in the know and to be connected with other people that are using Lumio. All right. Before we close out, I realize I want to show you just one more thing because there are so many exciting things that are coming to Lumio. Our product team is always, always, always showing you so many cool new things that are coming out. A lot of those things, they do go in beta first because they want to make sure that everything is tested, it works really well. And so being part of our beta channel is an option, but there is a lot of really neat features we have in beta right now. How do I join beta? If you are logged into Lumio as a teacher, in the top right corner, you'll click on your icon. Mine is my picture, yours might be your initials. And from there, you'll have a button. I'm already joined, so for me, it says About Lumio Beta, but for you, it might say Join Lumio Beta. And if you click on that, you can just toggle it on. And if you're wondering what features are in beta, you can always click on that list of features. I'll tell you right now what's in beta. We have some really cool widgets that teachers will see in their delivery mode, like a spotlight, a note taker, a dice, a spinner. My favorite feature that has been the most frequently asked question in our Facebook group, which Tisha also dropped the link for in our chat, is you can now, if your students do an individual handout, which is just like doing a worksheet, you can now export those handouts as a PDF. You can either export all your students or you can select certain students to export if you want to get ready for some progress monitoring, student portfolios. And then the newest feature we also just released in beta is Instant Start, and you'll see that button right here. And what that does is it gives you some templates to instantly start a collaborative activity for you and your students on the fly. The conversation's flowing. You want to give all your students an opportunity to participate. That's what Instant Start is. All right, I just wanted to really make sure that I mentioned that beta channel is the place to be. With that, I think we should be all set. If there aren't any questions, you are going to go ahead. If you'd like to complete the survey, you'll receive a certificate at the end of it to earn your PD credit there. The link is in the chat. It's also right on the screen. We love if you there is one section in that certificate, in that survey, that asks, hey, what kind of webinars would you like to see in the future? I just planned quite a few for the rest of the spring, but I want to make sure that you let us know if there's anything specific you'd like to see. And just a quick little plug, if you're a returning Lumio user, Lumio Palooza is coming. You guys are going to start to see lots of information about Lumio Palooza. It is a 2-day virtual event that we have July 14th and 15th. And that is last year we had, I think, 44 sessions. They are led by teachers all over the world, which are really neat. Again, on every kind of subject matter content you can think of. Lumio Palooza is coming, and we are going to make sure that we're going to be sending you lots of information. So you want to make sure that you join the ambassador community, and also take a look at our Facebook group, because we are going to start announcing everything you need to know about Lumio Palooza, which is happening virtually July 14th and 15th. With that, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your week.